Okay, welcome to Underwire.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here with my friend.
Now, you are guest number 5, believe it or not.
Okay.
Let me tell everybody who you are. Peachie O'Connor, longtime friend, nurse. You owned your own business, and we're going to also talk a little bit about women and heart disease because you have a story there. So, as you know, I love to not only inspire but educate, especially women, on this podcast. So, I'm excited to talk about the heart disease in women and how it's different from men. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to talk about how you've raised a family and you have a beautiful family and a long marriage, and you managed to be a nurse during a time where, you know, it wasn't exactly accepted that women worked outside the home. Mm-hmm. And then you went on to own your own business too. So you have lots of funny stories, and I know we're gonna have a good time.
Interesting life.
If we don't overtalk each other, because we both like to talk.
Yeah, and I want to know why I wasn't first.
Yeah,
I'm fine.
Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah,
but let me ask you first, because I don't even know the answer to this, and maybe I did at one point and I forgot. But where did you get the name Peachie? Because obviously that's not your name,
no,
so I want to hear the story.
And I'll be 78 in July, and I've been Peachie.
And look how great you look.
Oh,
You're
thank you.
amazing.
Hope I look all right.
You do.
Anyway, I've been Peachie since I'm 2, and Tom and I reside in a home in Williamsport where I was born and raised. My mom was 6 months pregnant with me, and we moved in. And when I was able to toddle around, I'd sit on the front porch steps. Currently, even now, I think of that. Pinky, the mailman.
Wait, the mailman was named Pinky.
Pinky, yeah.
Why?
Just that was his nickname.
Okay.
Who knows the story?
I don't know.
I didn't really ask him. I didn't want to know that. That was a little whatever.
Maybe it's better off we don't.
Yeah, off limits. But anyway, I used to wait for him, and I was real chubby and little, built little, and in stature. And he used to say, "Oh, there's my little Peach today." And my hair was very light and very curly and fuzzy. And he'd say, "There's my little Peach today." Well, then he kept it up, kept it up.
Sense.
Then my dad started, and I'm the middle child, so naturally, you know, I never got enough attention.
Yeah,
so I was glad.
That's what they say.
It's true. I'm sorry, serious. Anyway, but and then my dad started calling me that. My mother started calling me that, and friends. And then, of course, I went to Catholic school my entire life at my education from first grade till after nursing school. And the nuns weren't happy because I have Mary Helen Bernadette as my real name. And they said the Blessed Mother wouldn't be happy with me because I used the word Peachie. So, but God love her.
So I'm sure the nuns didn't call you Peachie?
No, it was Mary Helen.
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
So that's where it came from, a friendly mailman that every day I waited for him on the porch.
Isn't that funny? Now, let me just point out how one person can change your life and you don't even know his name. So here's another question that I've always wondered. When was the first moment that you knew you wanted to be a nurse?
Well, it was in my mind a lot. My mom was a caretaker to a lot of family members, and then she was a nurse's aide after my dad died. But even before that, she'd talk about she had to quit school when she was a sophomore in high school.
Yeah, which is common for that generation.
Yes, and she had to go work in the silk mill, but she always wanted to be a nurse, and we talked about it a lot. But she was a caretaker type in the family and friends, always the one helping everybody. Then my dad became ill with heart disease.
And how old were you at that point?
14,
okay,
maybe, yeah.
Okay.
And he had a long lingering illnesses of stricture of the esophagus, heart disease, circulation problems, whatever. He had a 32-piece orchestra at one time, played the trumpet, and very active his whole life, but pursuing it. And then when he became ill, it seemed as though I endeared myself, and I didn't have to care for him. He wasn't that ill that he couldn't, but he was tired, exhausted, lost a lot of energy, had discomforts. And
how old was he?
He was in his mid-40s when he became ill.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And then he passed away when he was 49.
That's so young.
And he knew. And I think it was always in me, just helping people was so much a part of how we were brought up. even sometime to a situation where you think, oh my goodness, I got myself into this. But I never.
Sometimes to your detriment.
Yeah, I know. But I never have regretted how I felt about taking care of a situation. If somebody's in need for something, I'm on it. I'll network for you.
I know
I'll
you
do whatever.
are. I know
and that's
you
just what I
are.
do. But him being sick, and he knew I was going to nursing school. He wasn't happy that I went to
So you were already going to nursing school when he became ill.
He died in February, and I graduated in June
Aww.
from high school, and I was leaving in June. Our program was 3 years, but we went year round.
So is his illness what prompted you to want to be a nurse, you think?
It always was in my mind, even taking him or being with him during his appointments and his illness, and probably being around that atmosphere of him. Yeah, and then caring about people, taking care of people.
Yeah, so you kind of get it from your mom and your dad.
Yeah.
Now,
absolutely.
were they both immigrants, or were your grandparents immigrants?
No, it was first generation over here. My mom, my mother's older brother and sister were immigrants. Yeah.
Okay.
But
so what part of Italy were?
Well,
do you know?
Part of us is Abruzzi and Calabrese, because. And I can't remember which one.
That's where my grandfather is from, and he was the immigrant. He was from Abruzzi. I call it Abruzzi.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it.
Well, my mother says they're the stubborn ones.
Oh, is that where I get it from?
And my oldest son, Mom's always said that he was the Abruzzi because he had a brick on his head, and he was
that's
real strong.
Funny.
That was always, Abruzzi and Calabrese.
Okay.
They were poor, very poor
Oh,
people.
yeah, so were my grandparents. And what about, do you know anything about your mom's side? Like what region
Calabria.
they were from?
They were Calabria.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Bernardis were Abruzzi, but the Anastasias were Calabria.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Came over with probably a nickel to his name and a couple green beans to plant. And
so did my grandfather. Yeah. Is that amazing?
Yeah.
Nothing. They came with nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely. So we were a working class family and grew up that way and treated people. I always try to pay attention to acquaintances, friends, family, that I don't care what social status they are. It's very important for me to treat people kindly.
Well, I think that has a lot to do with not only the Italian culture, but the immigrant. Like when you're raised by first or second generation immigrant, I think so much goes into that. The work ethic, the respect, and that all bled throughout your career and your family.
Yeah. Really
so you go to unfortunately lost your dad. You go to nursing school.
Yeah. And the one thing, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I do that.
Yeah, that's okay.
Dad died, I'll never forget it, February 9th. And in my senior year of high school, he died. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That had to be hard.
Yeah. And because, we were a small community at the time, especially in the school and everything. But he was going to come to our senior class play, and I had the lead part. I was a fortune teller. The girls had a separate play than the boys at that time.
Oh, okay.
And, anyway, and the nuns and the priest said the day of Dad's funeral that I had to be in that play. Dad died, was going to come to it in a wheelchair. We had it all, my mom had it all arranged. And I went on stage and did that. And I think some of the strength I have and the desire to do some of the things I do to this day, because my husband always says to me, I don't know where you get your strength and your courage. And I really, I wasn't brainwashed. I wasn't forced. I am who I am. And I went up on that stage, and I remember looking out in the audience and just thinking, he'd be here. So it gave me, I was proud that I could do it.
And I know people like to debate nature or nurture. I really believe it's both. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah,
so,
I do too.
I know we're kind of the mindset now in 2023 where the establishments are trying to make everybody the same. Like everybody should fit into a box and everybody should be the same. We're not the same.
No.
Let's celebrate our differences.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but you look at certain bloodlines and they have certain traits, and I think that should be celebrated.
It should be.
Yeah,
some people
for sure.
think I'm too passionate, and my response to them is, maybe we should all be a little more passionate and get involved and do things, But
when people say to me, like, well, you're too passionate. Well, or you're too extra. Well, maybe you're not extra enough.
Yeah. It's true.
Okay, maybe we shouldn't be here together. I don't know. But anyway.
No, but I have to. One of my shortcomings, I have to learn to be patient, and I have to learn to delegate, because even as a first year student in nursing, we had very little money, and I had to work as a nurse's aide for 80 cents an hour to pay for my books. So I rarely got home, and it was only a 2-hour bus
Was that
ride.
around
That was 1963.
Oh, 1963. You were making 80 cents an hour.
Yeah, as a nurse's aide, student nurse's aide, yeah. And it paid for my books at that time,
Wow.
and it was an experience. But again, it humbles you, and I think to this day,
You're taking care of other people for 80 cents an hour.
Yeah. But I loved what I did.
I know, but that's
I
just
love what I
like
do.
that's
I love what
that
I
speaks
do.
to your character for sure.
I'm not always.
Well, nobody's perfect, but I mean, we're pretty close. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you moved into the nursing profession, I'm curious. You probably didn't experience as much backlash as other women did working outside of the home, because it was a caring profession.
Yeah.
But did you experience any, did anybody ever tell you, in a professional environment, what are you doing here? You should be home.
No, I'll tell you, my husband and I didn't get married till we were 25.
Okay.
He was in the Air Force, and then he started college, WAC, under the GI, and then went to Lycoming. So I was not a mother until I was 26 almost. And most of my profession numbers were 90% women anyway.
Sure,
and,
nursing.
And I just, I went up in leadership because of my personality and my passion and my involvement.
And work ethic.
But I didn't do it to have a title. I was a working manager. I was a working head nurse or supervisor. And you bring people under your wing when you're positive, and it just happened. And it made my life as a nurse and even in nursing, leadership, we made doctors' rounds. They respected us.
Right.
You had your records you could look at. It wasn't, a computer.
It's so different
It's so
now.
different now.
It's
and
so
it
different.
aches my heart, but it is how it is, and I try not to stew over that. But I'm an advocate for a lot of hands-on things that.
Well, I consider nursing a skill, plumbing and electrical work, and what I consider it a skill. I mean, there's a lot of academic parts to it as well.
I always advocate people should speak up. People, be respectful, be nice.
Always be respectful, but you got to be
piece.
your own advocate, right?
And know that it's okay to say no to something. I call it self-care. And understanding somebody else's personality. They have to know my side, too. They have to know my side.
And, I didn't plan on going here, but I'm going to. So just roll with me.
Yeah.
And speaking of self-care and being your own advocate, I feel as though maybe people of your generation were more, put their faith more in physicians and the system.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm glad to see that we are, maybe my generation down, we're recognizing that they put their pants on one leg at a time as well.
Yeah.
Should we respect their opinion? Yes. Did they work very hard in medical school, and are they skilled at their practice? Yes. However, you have a right to get a second opinion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. If you aren't feeling physically, emotionally satisfied, you got to take care of yourself so that you can take care of your family.
Thank you.
And your friends. And if I didn't have my faith first, these last 3 years especially, and going through the times with my father's death and trying to, be away at school and then trying to keep it all together emotionally, if I didn't have my faith and my family and friends that really care, really, really care. And now, my husband, since we dated since 10th grade.
Oh my gosh!
To have that,
I love both of
story.
you.
Yeah, well,
how long have you been married?
50. It's 53 years. Yeah,
Wow!
Yeah. And dated in first grade.
Wow!
Yeah.
First grade.
Well, he says we did, but we didn't really date till 10th. But no,
we pushed each other on the swings on the playground.
Yeah. No, he was probably trying to stick pin me. That was the thing back in the day. If they liked a girl, they had, and the nuns used to have,
that is so cute.
But no, you have to, be strong and one of the things me growing up, my mother would say, you can't say anything. That's the nurse, or that's the doctor, or that's the teacher, or that's the nun, or that's the priest, and not taking anything away from them because they molded me. All those folks molded me. But you still have to be your own person and speak for yourself. But it's how you put it out there.
It's your delivery, and it's knowing your audience. You said your faith has been very strong the past few years.
More so even.
Talk a little bit about what you've gone through with your heart disease, and, starting with like when you first noticed it and what you've been through with that.
Well, in 2020, of course, right around COVID time, and I'm working outside a lot in our yard, and flowers and 97 degrees, and planting this and vegetables, tomatoes, and all this that my cousin always checks on me, make sure I do it right, like the old country people did,
Yeah.
I felt a wave of, one evening, nausea, just feeling so perspired and just not feeling right, weak, and dizzy. I blamed it on the heat, blamed it on the weather, because
a lot of people would.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was, I was 74, I think, when all that started. Yes, 74. So a lot of it's age, and I have to accept, well, I can't do what I used to do. But my energy level was just nothing. And
we should mention you're extremely high energy.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
You're not a typical.
No,
Yeah.
sit around gal.
No.
Like if I'm sitting, my husband will say, Peachie, all right.
Yeah.
What's the matter? No, I'm just chilling. But so, I was treated for vertigo, and that was fine because the symptoms were vertigo. But about a month later, I was home. My son was in from out west, and I said to Tom, I think I'm going into congestive heart failure. I said, my pulse is rapid.
You're a nurse. You should.
Yeah.
It's not like you didn't have any education in it.
And I just put all the symptoms together with the shortness of breath, the pulse rate up, the lack of my ability to breathe normally. And
now let me stop you right there, because I have a question. I have two questions. The first is, hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But looking back now, yes, it could have been vertigo. I'm not, that's fine. However, being your own advocate, do you wish you would have said, okay, I accept it's vertigo, but I am 74 and I'm not feeling right. So can we just further this and get some more tests?
I regret that I didn't do that. And it was, I don't blame anybody. I went along with it. I thought, well, I'll try this, see if it works, because I wasn't feeling really bad every day, but the damage was done.
So after that incident, which you think you had a heart attack.
I should have asked for a cardiogram. But now getting back to insurances, they don't do them routinely anymore. I get good care. But I speak out as well. I don't sit there and just say yes to everything either. But
So you learned a lesson from that because you know your own body.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Do you think you had a heart attack that day?
Oh, I did. I know I had it that day or two. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
But I had no pain, and my blood work wasn't off. That's what a widowmaker is. And
can you tell everybody what a widowmaker is?
Well, women who suffer widowmakers, and it's in my myocardium on the front wall is totally gone. The muscle's dead, and it's just because of blockages in my vessels. But a widowmaker is like a silent heart attack. I guess that's the best way to explain it.
Yes, that's what I've heard. Now, I have a list here from the American Heart Association, but I want to ask you first. Do you know what are the differences between when a man has a heart attack and when a woman has a heart attack? Because they are different.
I think it's all in the anatomy as well. I'm not sure I'm all correct on this. I've never really compared the two.
It's funny that you say nausea, because I've read that women get nausea and men typically don't.
Yeah.
Men typically get the pain in the left arm.
Yep.
Women don't always get that.
No.
Women get more fatigue than men.
Yeah.
But there you said, well, I was working outside and, my age.
Yeah.
And
that is that is perfect.
Exactly what you,
yeah.
And uncomfortable, this is from the American Heart Association, uncomfortable pressure, squeezing, fullness or pain in the center of your chest. It goes and comes. Pain or discomfort in the arms. Oh, this is another one they said that happens with women that don't with men. They have upper back pain and jaw pain. Isn't that odd? Jaw and
I
neck.
never had that.
Huh.
Never had that.
Shortness of breath, of course. Nausea, lightheadedness.
Yeah.
Were you lightheaded?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's why I was treated. I had therapy for vertigo, and of course, me, after about 3 treatments, and I knew the girl that was giving me my treatments, and she said, you don't have vertigo. They were very thorough, and I was put on a med that Indocin that treats vertigo.
But looking back, we wish that they would have done more testing. And now, for others listening, they can learn.
Oh yeah,
if you
have
feel
to.
off,
I should.
Please advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
And say, I want these tests done. There's no reason. At that age, the insurance, well, I can't say that, but you would think common sense, the insurance would pay for it at that age.
Well, the whole thing is they aren't doing tests just routinely anymore like they used to.
No, but if you go in with symptoms, wouldn't they?
Well, but my symptoms weren't those of an actual heart attack. No.
For a man, no.
No, for me. For a woman.
According to the American Heart Association, they were.
For a man.
No, women get what you said.
But I had no.
But you were lightheaded? You were nauseous?
Yeah, lightheaded, nausea.
They're right here. It says those are the 2 things that happen to women that don't men.
Yeah.
But let me read you a couple of statistics. Cardiovascular disease kills more women than all forms of cancer combined. And yet, are you ready for this? Are you sitting down?
Yeah, I'm sitting. Yeah.
I'm sitting too, unfortunately, but I'll explain that later. Only 44% of women recognize that cardiovascular disease is their greatest health threat. I think they probably think it's breast cancer, if I had to guess. I mean, that's what I'm always worried about.
Yeah.
Among females 20 years and older, nearly 45% are living with some form of cardiovascular disease. And less than 50% of women entering pregnancy in the United States have good heart health. That's frightening to me. And you had a history because your dad had it.
Yeah, but I have to interrupt you here. Dominique, do you know?
I love the way you say my name.
Dominique.
Yes.
Anyway, to this day, as smart as I thought I was, I mentioned mother's side, hypertension, stroke, this, that, all the things that went through, thyroid, diabetes on my mother's side. I never mentioned my dad, coronary artery disease, died at age 49.
You never told your doctor that?
I never told him that. Now, and I'm, to this day,
wow,
thinking, how stupid. I mean, I hate to say that.
It wasn't stupid. No,
but I mean, and the forms say family history, dad deceased, heart issue, whatever. But coronary artery disease for years he had.
Well, maybe for you because it was so long ago.
Yeah.
It's not present in your mind. Yeah. So don't beat yourself up about that.
I think about it a lot though. And because of me, my oldest son went to his cardiologist and he is predisposed.
Right.
He went through the whole thing telling his cardiologist. He goes to a cardiologist and
how old is he?
52.
Okay.
Yeah, 52.
Now, let me tell you a story. I'm 49.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad has heart disease, and his mom, my grandmother, had heart disease. My dad had several heart attacks, open heart surgery. We also have thyroid issues that run in our family. I have thyroid issues, which is another reason for heart issues. Okay.
Yeah.
Especially what I have, which is Hashimoto's. But having said all that, I'm in the process of changing PCPs. I cannot get them to give me an echocardiogram. They've done the stress test, which I work out, so I'm in shape. Yeah. They're like, oh, well, yeah, you can run the fastest on the treadmill we've ever had. Well, okay, but people drop over on treadmills of heart attacks.
Yeah. From
my history, I have friends that work in the cardiovascular unit, and they have said, oh, yeah, you definitely should have an echo. Because I was having symptoms. I was having heart palpitations, shortness of breath, and it comes in waves. It comes and goes. Yeah. I'll have it for a couple of weeks, then I won't. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm changing PCPs right now because I cannot get them to look any further than a stress test.
Well, again, it goes back
because I'm a woman. They actually said that to me. I'm young, quote unquote, which I'm not really that anymore, and I'm a woman.
Again, I go back to, I try not to blame the system. The system is going to be what it is. It's going to get worse.
I do blame the system. I don't blame the people that are working in the system.
I guess that's what I'm saying. Right. It is what it is.
I just think that they're doing the best they can given what they have.
To stress that to be your own advocate is what I would say to every person I could ever talk to.
But see, I'm fighting an insurance company. Dude, that's hard.
Yeah.
Because it's, file an appeal, do this, do that. Yeah. Paperwork. It's so stressful and time consuming, and it's not the doctor's fault.
no, it isn't. But
But these statistics are alarming.
yeah.
And as much as I say it's not the doctor's fault, there are people still slipping through the system. It happened to my dad too. What happened to you?
Yeah,
He went in with a heart attack. They sent him home. I think it was the same thing, actually. I think it was the vertigo thing.
Oh my.
And he had a heart attack that night. He was out in the ER. You know? So be your own advocate is what we're saying.
Absolutely. I just can't stress that enough.
And know that the symptoms with women are slightly different.
Yeah.
Men don't experience the jaw pain, the back pain as much, the fatigue, the nausea.
In my case, I didn't even have jaw pain or back pain. That's what was so not confusing, but it just was so atypical. And I think I've tended to, and Dominic, you know me well enough. I've tended to. I try not to dwell on the past because I am so grateful to be alive.
Absolutely.
I have a good friend, a physician that I've known for years, and he put a dime on the palm of my hand, and he came up to see me, and I, of course, emotionally was pretty sad, and with everything that went down and went on, and he said, "Heads or tails, Peachie?" And I said, "Heads." Of course, it was tails, so he flips it over, and he said, "That's how lucky you are to be alive," and I'll never forget that day.
Wow.
Because my energies then shifted to, I'm not going to stew over what
I'm going
went
to be
on.
grateful.
The gratitude has really, gives me chills because and I'm not being.
Because tell me the statistic that you told me before we started.
Oh, 1 out of 2 women die of a widowmaker.
I never knew that.
1 out of 2 women die of a widowmaker. Yeah, and never had any.
That's a scary
unusual,
statistic.
Yeah. Never had any unusual blood work, nothing. I mean, I got my physicals every year, got taken care of, but it hit me, and it hit me hard. And then last year, my husband had quadruple bypass. He doesn't have any damage. Fortunately, his symptoms were just a little shortness of breath and mowing the lawn and lethargy, that kind of thing. But
did he go to the ER, or did he just go to his doctor and say, "Listen, this is what's happening"?
He called he's very blessed with who he has.
So he called his primary care physician.
Yeah,
okay.
and then he got referred to a cardiologist. Immediately. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But again, I think I was a little more aggressive.
I'm not saying anything, but
But you
it's
have
such a big difference there between not only doctors but male female.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think as women especially, we really do have to speak up and be our own advocates.
Yeah.
But okay, so I hope we educated people a little bit on signs and symptoms to look out for and some statistics. And just to wrap up your story, and then we'll move on to your entrepreneurship. So how did it end up for you? You ended up getting a pacemaker, correct?
Well, I ended up my front. They couldn't. I'm 100% blocked. My when they did the cath through the radial artery, and then they went through the femoral artery.
100% blocked, like in just one or all?
Well, I was 100% blocked. She could not insert a stent.
That is scary.
Yeah, it is, through my radial artery, and so I had to wait a little period of time, and till they got me worked in, and then they went through the femoral artery.
Because they don't typically go through the femoral artery anymore.
No. But
they
here I had I think a 60 to 70% block on the back wall, but she was able to get a stent in there. So, but I had atrial fibrillation, irregular heartbeat, and I also had some V tachycardia. So I was one way or the other. So I had.
So what does that mean? Like
that means
your heart rate goes up and down?
Yeah, and very irregular beats. So as not to
even
then put my
not with exertion, at rest.
at rest.
Your heart was fluctuating.
Yeah. All the time for a while.
Wow.
And then I had to wear a life vest for 6 months again, so as to say, okay, I really do need this, because it had I was monitored with a life vest on, that it would go off, and I could feel it if I was in AFib. It would go off to correct it, put it back into normal sinus rhythm.
Oh, so it was kind of like a pacemaker on the outside of your body.
Yeah.
Wow.
6 months.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm no doctor, which I should have said that at the beginning. We're not
No,
you're a
no.
medical professional,
No,
but I'm not.
but
Anyway, so correct me if I'm wrong, but you have two issues. You have an electrical issue,
Mhm.
and you had blockages.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people either have one or the other, but you had both.
But I think the
wow.
the blockages cause my illness, of course. But
So you think can blockages cause like an electrical issue? It can cause
it affects the physiologic, part of it because your circulation, your blood flow isn't getting through to the heart muscle. And
wow.
I'm just blessed that I my lungs are okay.
Okay,
good.
good.
I have one kidney because I donated one to my cousin years ago.
That's right.
And that has stayed safe through all the testing, and everybody was aware of it and very cognizant of it.
You took, the empathy thing and caring for people to the next level there.
I would do it again too.
I know you would.
It again, but I only have one left, so
Okay,
nobody on this cast better think that I can do another one. But no, I've been blessed in my life. I've been blessed.
Well, and I have a strong faith as well, but I also believe in you attract what you are. I also believe in quantum physics and all of that stuff. That is God. It's the same thing. It's just semantics. But you attract what you are, and when you give, you're blessed, and you've given genuinely, not for an ulterior motive.
No,
that's the difference. It's the intention.
I never expected. I was at a function a week ago, and a lady that I knew came up to me and she said, "I'll never forget your kindness to me. I was in housekeeping at Divine when you were a nurse out there."
And it goes back to what I've said, right? How every little bit about how you treat other people count. You can change somebody's
that from the
life,
70s,
and you can change somebody's life, and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have the outside pacemaker, and then you have
internal.
Now you have the internal. I've always wondered with pacemakers, like what is the maintenance on those, and do you ever have to get one replaced?
But there's electrical wires that are connected to innervate the heart. If I do go into it, it's almost like if you had a cardioversion. With the electric paddles, to treat an abnormal.
You're like jumping a car battery.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So this thing is a little smaller than a car battery, but it's really
about how big is it? Like
it's like a
oh wow,
almost as like
I would say that's about 3 inches by 3 inches.
Yeah. I can't wear my low cut dresses anymore. Bummer. Yeah, no, I don't care. Tom went, show it off. What the heck, But anyway, no.
And now, since you've had that, are you feeling better?
Well, my damage is done, and I have to realize that I will not have the energy I had, even 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. But I wake up each morning, Dominique, and I just say, thank you, Jesus, for let me put my 2 feet on the ground, and I really do. I get up, sit in the edge of the bed, and
I will say this for our medical industry. When it comes to chronic illnesses, I just believe the eastern part of the world has done a better job than the western.
Yeah.
But when it comes to acute and especially heart issues, I mean, the United States has got it down.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I mean, we really have a handle. Yeah, the advances and the technology.
Yeah.
And, if you have heart disease, you want to be living in the U.S.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
But okay, well, I'm glad that everything worked out there. But let's go back to it's the late 80s, and what prompted you to say, I think I'm going to go from nursing, and I'm going to own my own business.
Well, I didn't go there. I didn't go there. My husband was the accountant for the owner, Ed Muse, and who did an amazing job. Sammy Ray's store before that.
I remember Sammy Ray, Italian.
Yeah.
But let me tell everybody, just in case they're not from here. So you owned Ed's Market, and that was like, it was like one of the very first like corner convenience stores.
Yeah,
we see all the chains now, but it was local.
Oh yeah. I'm working 8, 10, 12-hour days anyway, and fortunately having him is how I could do that, even though he was going to school and then graduated in accounting. We met at the door. We got along great.
Yeah.
See ya. Bye. Whatever.
Wait, you just ruined my last question. Yeah. The secret to a happy marriage.
Well, that, and then there's a few other things I'll tell you in a bit.
Passing ships.
Yeah, passing ships for sure. But it was interesting. I said, "You're crazy." But my dad went from being a music major. He wanted to be a physician. Then he changed to music and had an orchestra, played the trumpet. Ended up in his father's Mohawk Meat Market down on Market Street, which is now Stephanie Allison's Wine and Design.
Oh,
that was my father and
I'd
grandfather's.
like to have her on.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's amazing.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
That's
She
great.
works so hard.
I love
too.
wine and design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And long story though, we talk about it like my older sister, always says, "You remind me just of Dad." I'm in my glory at that store. I miss the customers.
So we should say too that you catered a lot as well.
Oh,
It wasn't
yeah.
just a convenience store. You
Right.
made subs and you
Yeah.
catered.
Oh, yeah. Catered many a
I've never
function.
seen anybody. I mean, the hours you worked, like right up until the end, and
Yeah.
I feel blessed that Gabriella's first job was with you.
Yeah.
Because it was such a positive
She
experience for her.
She was 16, and she worked when the second owner in 2017, but I was there a lot from the day it opened up.
Yeah,
and,
you were still
and I hired
training
her.
Yeah.
But she was the best employee. She,
Aw.
young girl. I had a couple brought back that I had with me at Ed's when I owned it. That I was blessed that they came back. But that young lady with Gabriella.
Aw.
I mean, I love Sophia too, but Gabriella and I were side by side,
Yeah.
and she was very dedicated, very kind to the customers, patient, smart too.
Yeah, she loved it.
Attractive,
She
darn.
loved that job, and she
Yeah.
banked so much money. Like,
Good.
that girl is a
Good.
saver.
Good.
But so, what was your favorite? So you owned that business for 30 years,
Yeah,
I think you said, right?
Yeah. Tom and I bought
Crazy.
the building, the second one at Clayton Avenue, and then my brother-in-law ran that for us, and then we bought the third one some years later up in Newberry, Ed's of Newberry.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you had a couple of
that's
other.
the Minute Mart now.
Yeah.
But so we.
What was your favorite part about owning that business?
Oh, the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people.
And I know they only came in. A lot of them only came in for you.
Well, I don't know about that.
I mean,
but-
you made amazing subs because
Well,
didn't you get like your meat from New York or something? Like you.
The meat came from Harrisburg.
And
a lot
you
of
know
it.
what?
A lot
Nobody
of it,
can
yeah.
just make a sub.
No.
It's the meat and the cheese.
But you know what
and,
else
like,
it was being there's consistency.
Yes.
You weigh every
Yes.
amount that you
But
put on a sandwich.
but I'm
and
sorry.
I'm so fussy. I'm a little OCD.
Your suppliers, where you got your
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
made a huge difference in the taste.
Yeah. And you could get.
And you made
a
your
lot-
own dressing, I think, too. didn't
Yes,
you,
we
for
did.
the-
And I'll
yeah.
tell you where that came from was Shamrock. My cousin owns the Shamrock, owned the Shamrock, and now his wife is running that. And my aunt, my mother's sister, worked there. And he always says, "Yeah, you took my recipe," but they'd order our subs too, and I'd order their subs, But she's still
And we
there.
should tell everybody, Italians are very protective of their recipes.
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
ask
Oh, yeah.
them.
Of course,
for a recipe.
I share mine now because it's the second
you're
generation
done.
of it.
Yeah.
Well,
I think you gave me that recipe, actually. I think you gave me that
I've
dressing.
given it a lot of
Yeah,
people, and our mac and cheese and my chili and stuff. But
so good.
But
Everything
I think
was
one
so good.
thing I loved about the store, besides the customers, the friendships that I made, and the experience it gave my two boys. And my one son in Sweden now is working at a European food chain. He manages ICA over there, and he
good.
started up the Instacart program there.
Oh, wow.
So, and my oldest son, he loved to give donuts away and loved to shoot the breeze with the people.
Listen,
but Sean
Brad's
was the
my
worker.
buddy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
Brad's
Yeah.
my buddy.
But he was so good with the people, and it really. My husband always said,
Oh, Brad is you. Oh,
yeah.
for sure.
Oh, he's crazy. I'm crazy. But the whole thing is about. Tom always said, if you could teach anything in school, have to be able to talk in front of a group of people and express yourself and engage yourself with people. You'll be successful no matter what line of work you do.
You just took the words right out of my mouth, because I feel like, I was going to say that camaraderie that you experienced with everyone that came in, even though, I'm your son's age, right? But I have that old school mentality.
Yeah.
And it just makes me so sad. And sometimes I honestly feel like I'm living in like an alternate universe. When you run into like a chain
Yeah.
market
Yeah.
and like people just in general, like I feel so bad for them. They just look like sad and depressed,
Yeah.
and they're and their heads are down, and nobody talks to anybody. And I just remember going in, and you were always so vibrant, and everybody knew each other, and we all talked. And how are the kids, and how are you doing? And you knew stuff about each other's lives.
Yeah.
We need to bring that community
But you know what?
back.
Yeah.
And I blame a lot of it on technology and social media, of
Yeah.
course. But I am always the glass is half full person.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think, we're going to get back to that.
Yeah.
I think hopefully COVID taught a lot of people about, wow, when I'm forced to stay inside, I don't want to be inside.
Yeah.
I miss my family and friends.
Yeah.
Which brings me to Brad, your oldest. So, he was over at my house a lot when you were in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And God love him. I kept saying, Brad, come over. I'll make you something to eat. Like we'll have a drink. Because he wasn't allowed in the hospital because it was COVID. And you know this, but I got to give him a shout out. He sat in his car in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Where he could see your window.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Hours.
What a good boy.
Yeah.
Hours. He was so upset. And I understood that because we're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're more than welcome to come over, but I understand why you're doing what you're doing because I would too.
Yeah.
Because we both kind of have that nervous energy about us.
You do. Sometimes he'd come over to your house, just talk to you.
Yeah, just talk to me.
And love it, and not even see the girls.
But, I said, I understand that because I would do the same thing. Even though other people might think we're crazy, it's the energy. It's like just so my energy's here with my loved one. So which brings me to your community involvements, which is still off the charts. I mean, it's funny because your baseline was like ridiculous because you said, well, I can't do as much as I used to do. And I don't have as much energy. But now your baseline, I think, is just down to like a normal person's. And you think
and when I'm involved, I have to know that, okay, I can do this today, but then I'll have to chill a little bit because then I got this tonight, but it keeps me going. I will not sit around and be depressed. I don't take any
no victim mentality. That was never allowed in our households.
No.
And right. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to it.
Exactly.
So tell me, do you have tell me a couple of your community involvements that you help out with?
One thing, and I'll go back kind of the beginning is things at church I'm involved in. And then I was on the Williamsport Cemetery board for a while. But the other thing is the Divine Providence Hospital Auxiliary was one of the first things that I did for years with friends and auxilians and other nurses and staff of the hospital.
Now, if there's moms out there listening, were you always this involved when you were raising Brad and Sean, or do you find as though it's just easier now because you're in a different season of your life?
Oh, it's easier now. And nobody should ever feel guilty because I'm in the junior league too. And, I'm more active now as a 77-year-old sustainer. And I love being around these young girls because they're inspiring. They have 55 active members and we have 100 sustainer members. And we just had our annual dinner and the room was jammed. And seeing all different age groups and what they're doing with all the nonprofits in the community.
That's great.
For the children and the adults in need, the YWCA with their involvement, the rescue workers, Dwell Orphan Care. There's just so many things that
So if a mom is listening, and
call
she's
me.
In that season,
call me. I have
put Peachie's number. I don't think you want me to do that.
I have a private message me on Facebook. I have a list of people that, but
let's say they don't live in this area, right? Because hopefully I will have people, eventually in other states listening. But you can always. It's so easy nowadays with the internet. You can always look up who's in need.
But my thing is promoting, like Coming Arts downtown. Promoting First Fridays downtown, promoting the restaurants that support so many things.
Local.
Everybody, local. Yeah. But my pride and passion is Preservation Williamsport's Victorian Christmas, and I've been doing
Which is what?
Victorian Christmas is an annual event that takes place the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before Thanksgiving, and it's a tour of homes, churches, and historical buildings in our community.
Because we have a lot of old historical homes.
Yes,
here. I love your community involvement so much, and I love that I'm kind of in that season now too. So unfortunately, but anyway, So we get after you raise your kids, you get a chance to do your own little thing, right? Yeah. But no guilt for moms that are still raising their kids. That's for sure.
No.
So
that's a special gift.
I know. Well, and that's probably the hardest job in my opinion. Yeah. So I know it's cliche to say, what's your secret? I hate that's my pet peeve. Like, what's your secret to a long-lasting marriage? So I heard, everybody's putting the quotes all over Instagram, and I saw a quote and it hit me, and it said, "Can we stop talking about and congratulating people that have been married a long time, and instead congratulate people that are actually fulfilled in their marriage?" And I'll say happy, even though I don't like the word happy either, because I think happy is fleeting. I like to use the word joy instead of happy. But I mean, and it's just me from the outside, and I could be wrong, but you and Tom just seem like you have such a great relationship. Everybody loves being around you guys. I see mutual love, mutual respect. I see reciprocity. I still see admiration after all these years.
Yeah.
So
he
what
always
are the
says he's
couple of the
lucky, but
things?
I'm lucky as well.
What are the couple of the things that you think that you, and of course you got a lot wrong, I'm sure, as everybody has.
He can put up with my.
Yeah, well, I always say that too.
Settle down, Peachie.
You know what we were saying earlier? We're extra.
Yeah, we're extras, right? Yeah.
I think it takes a special man to put up with our extra.
Well, I asked him this question, and he said, "What do you always say?" And I say, "Stay friends forever." Stay friends forever.
Yes.
But that's kind of a cliche too that's getting overused.
I mean, that's important, but you can just be friends and roommates. I mean, you guys still have that love and passion.
Well, you know what he answered me? He said, "You tell Dominique that it's because I always give in to her."
Well, they say, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah. I'll call him and say, "Do you think can we afford this? Can I get this?" He goes, "Well, you're the one that earned the money, Always,
and you know what
always
I love?
put me above himself.
Well,
really
okay. Before I get into what I love, because I love what he calls you, and I'll tell people in a minute. However, you and your nicknames, everybody just keeps giving you nicknames.
I know. I love it.
However, yes, I mean, he says that tongue in cheek. I give in to her, but okay. Here's the deal.
No, then he laughed heartily.
Right,
a
tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
But here's the deal: when a man can be humble enough to give his wife grace, you know that even if you don't see it, you know behind closed doors that she's giving him equal respect as the man of the household.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say, people are like, there's this wave now on all the YouTube shows, and a lot of the men are talking about, especially in the Christian community, well, men should lead their households. Yes. But here's my thing. If a man is leading from ego and he's not leading from God, that's a whole different vibe.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole different vibe. And what I love to see is a strong man that leads from his spirit, which is God.
Mm-hmm.
Totally different look than a strong man that leads from his ego, which is I'm in control.
Yeah.
I'm the head. And that's what I see with you guys. I see Tom that's a strong man, but he leads from his spirit.
Yeah.
And I see you guys having reciprocity and equal respect. And I just love after 53 years, right?
Of marriage,
that he calls you Queenie.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, but it does not make him the king.
No.
That's what I always say
but
that.
He says
no,
it
we
with
joke
such
about that.
like endearment and like it's very apparent, and I'm sure you guys have had your struggles as well.
Oh yeah. Especially in the early years, but a lot of it I had to change too because
we all?
And there were times that and how my mother raised us. My mother always, and I don't say this against her. I loved her, forever. But
they were only doing the best that they could do.
But she always worried about what people thought, and sometimes which I do too. But I don't react, and I don't play games, and I don't do what I do because I don't want somebody to be mad at me or I want somebody to like me. I do it because it's in my heart to do it. I don't do it because, you should do that because they did this and that. I don't live my life that way.
Right.
Now, and it's if the generation before me and way before that, but I'm really
they did
glad.
care. Yeah, I see that too.
Yeah,
they were very concerned with how they were in the community and how and what people were and what will people think if they find this out about our family. Yeah, I know, and that is sad. But that's how they were raised.
They were raised that way, and they worked so hard. My dad died. We had nothing. We had to move from the homestead, and my cousin bought it, who my mom took in for a while. And then we bought it back. Tom and I bought the homestead back.
I know. So you're still in the same house you grew up in.
Yeah,
that's
that I was born in. Yeah. And Mom had 3 part-time jobs, and we made it. We made it.
So I think it's important for us to look at history and learn. And I think there's a lot those generations got wrong, and I think there's a lot that they got right.
Yeah.
And I think it's our job to grow throughout our lifetime, and like you said, change. Like if somebody comes up to you and says, "Oh, you're the same as I remember in high school." Well, I take that not as a compliment. I think everybody should be growing spiritually and emotionally. And we realize things early on. Oh, I used to talk this way to people. Now I'm better at it. Or now I have more respect or whatever. So marriage, like anything else, is a growing process. But I think if you have a strong foundation and you're equally yoked in spirituality and standards and morals, that you're going to go further.
Well,
you're going to go a lot further.
His mom and dad had terminal illnesses, and
Oh wow, I didn't know
we
that.
spent a lot of time caring for Pop at home, and then his mom, I just loved her like my own mother. Tom always said, if Peachie ever did anything to me, it's probably she had a reason, whatever. She stuck up for me first. But we brought her into our home, and I cared for her in our basement family room for 6 months when she was dying.
Aww.
Yeah, and then when Tom did as much for my mom and my aunts and my family as though they were their own.
Well, sure,
without a question.
Absolutely,
that's
the way.
Yeah.
That's the way it's done.
And,
it should be. What's the best part or the best memory or the thing that you just like the most about being a mom?
Well, raising my kid, about being a mom is, I look at it that we're friends now, and that's so important, and
both of your boys are great, by the way.
Well, and the concern they have, and they'll call, and it just doesn't mean because I was ill or, almost died or whatever. They really care about.
It's genuine.
It's genuine, and the fact that they call or FaceTime and try to get home with COVID, it's been a real challenge, for everybody. But
and how many grandkids do you have?
I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I had to count because I'm getting cardiac brain.
So Brad has Jack.
Brad has one that's going to be 17 in September.
And I love that.
Yeah, Jack O'Connor.
I call him Mayor Jack.
Oh my God, he'd walk up to you and say, "Hi, I'm Jack O'Connor.
I
What's
know.
your name?"
I talk
but
about.
He calls and checks on me and says, "Grammy."
That's good. I can't believe he's 17 already.
I know. He's getting his perm. He got his permit, I think, just.
And then you have Urban.
And I have Urban, who's third year of college in Sweden, and Linnea, who just graduated from high school. And then Sean has a near 4-year-old, and they'll be coming home this summer.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Yeah,
good.
With Indigo. But there is one thing I read today.
Please do.
That said, speaking of aging, and it was Mary Tyler Moore, who I never really was a big fan, but she had this saying that popped up on something when I was looking through. It said, "You will never be at this age again. Do what makes you happy." And I just love that. And I thought, and Tom goes, "What are you writing down?" I said, "I just love that. You'll never be at this age again. Tomorrow will be a day old or whatever, but do the best that you can each day and don't put it off. Don't put it off."
Well, that's an awesome way to end.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this.
Love this.